Alright guys, we are now in our finale segment. We are going to be doing a review on Pop Smoke's new album, and I'm going to give you guys pretty much the rundown of this whole album. I decided to listen to the whole thing before I even decided to do a review on the whole thing. But yeah, I just wanted to do that just so I could give my supports to him as well for his last album. Now, I want to give you guys a little bit of rundown on him, and I want to tell you guys a little bit of the mess that was going on in the mix of everything, and then just give you guys the rundown of what the album is like itself, but not giving away too much because I do want you guys to go out there and support him as well, because it is a good listen, and you know, there's lots of nice songs on there. I feel like a lot of it catches your attention. It's a really, really nice album. So first, I want to give you an idea of who Pop Smoke is in case you don't even know who he is. So Pop Smoke is a rapper. He was 20 years old before he passed away. He was shot and killed in LA, and he passed away on the 19th of February of this year. He was from Brooklyn, New York, and you know, his sound was very much similar to like a mix of DMX and 50 Cent mixed together, but of like this generation. So I feel like that's a good example of explaining how his sound was, just in case you guys want to know. So he had that very much deep voice. So yeah, that's pretty much a rundown of who he is as a person. Now, the only reason that this album was able to continue to move forward is, one of the reasons is because of 50 Cent. He decided to help alongside the other teams that was working on this album, and he was the executive producer of the album to get this whole thing to even come about. I do want to go ahead and address the mess, so then after that we can get into the sweet stuff and I can tell you guys about the album itself. So all the mess comes really from DJ Clue. So, it all started with 50 Cent. He decided to, you know, vent and get some things off of his chest. This is what he said on Instagram. He said, "This fool DJ Clue got in his feelings. He said he not playing Pop Smoke new joint because he didn't get the record first. F Clue. You don't mean S. At Funk Flex been kicking your A up and down the street for years, you little," he said a derogatory phrase that I cannot say, guys. "I done sold 30 million records. You think I give a F if you play my music? Is you stupid? Is you dumb? N-word? I think you should get punched in the face. I don't know why, but I'm almost sure you gonna get punched in the face. Nothing crazy, just a lowercase L. You know the vibes, N-word." So yeah, guys, that's what 50 said. He was very expressive with his language, you know what I'm saying? So after 50 Cent went off on this guy, he comes back later and he says, "We repping for my guy." And then he at Pop Smoke and he says, "All day on Power 1051, including 9 p.m. when I'm playing the entire album. Tune in power1051fm.com or download the iHeartRadio app and stream it live." And then he says Team Panama, so I'm guessing he's repping his country at this point now. And he says, "P.S. We didn't wake up this morning and plan this." So I'm guessing that maybe after the fact, he seen that the numbers was coming in, and he seen that because the album, it was number one on streaming platforms like Spotify. So it was number one. So I'm guessing once he seen that it was number one, he was like, "Oh, you know, I have to play this at this point," because it would have gave his radio play. Like, it would have gave his radio a lot of streaming and a lot of people listening. So he would have got numbers. So I'm thinking that's the only reason he even decided to play the record in the first place, or the album in the first place. Otherwise, he wouldn't have even played it. He would have just left it. He probably thought that the album wasn't even going to make numbers, but it shocked him because it made number one on Spotify. But yeah, guys, that was the little mess that went ahead and happened. So, you know, other than that whole little spill and drama, That was pretty much like the only negative out of this. And I did mention earlier in our biggest goof, because if you guys are not aware, I know that on YouTube you guys only get a small little portion, but on my first segment, I decided to give Tekashi 6ix9ine the biggest goof simply because he decided to drop his song Yaya on the same day as Pop Smoke's album being put out. And I think that because they're both New Yorkers, he should have sat there and respected the fact that Pop Smoke's album came out today and just been like, you know what, I'll push my song back to next week. And I did say that, you know, I don't even think that this song will do well because it's one of his Spanish songs. And a lot of his Spanish songs do not get the play like a lot of his hip hop type songs where he's screaming a lot. A lot of those songs do not get the same recognition. And, you know, I don't care if people drag me about it. I said what I said. And I meant it because, you know, he did another Spanish song before and it didn't get nearly as much like love as all the rest of his songs. Anytime he's talking about N-word this, N-word that, you know, and yelling and screaming on the track, his songs get a lot more play. And that's just facts. So, yeah, you know, if you guys do want to listen to the biggest goof and everything and how I broke all of that down, you guys can listen to the full podcast on, you know, all of my little platforms and everything. You guys will hear it in the playback. But as far as the album itself, I only heard positive things. I only heard, you know, the best of the best about this album. Only negative thing that I did hear, and it was honestly from Just Hilarious. Like, I mean, I feel like she was the only one that really said something along this line. I feel like maybe if I would have kept reading comments and stuff, I probably would have seen more negative stuff. But, you know, she was actually saying that they needed more New York people on the album. And I guess she felt like it should have been a whole New York takeover. Which, if Tekashi 6ix9ine would have brung his ass over, I mean, I thought him and 50 Cent was cool, to be quite honest. But, you know, I don't know. But he could have, maybe he was locked up at the time. I think he was. But, yeah, you know, he could have gotten on the album and been on there and did his little screaming. And, you know, tried to make the album even more New York. Because he is from New York. I mean, he does have a lot of respect from his people, his little minions and stuff. So, you know, he could have gotten a lot more play for the album, even with him doing a little feature. Because, you know, they did have heavy hitters on that album, despite it not being quote unquote New York enough, you know. I feel like regardless of if it had a lot of people from New York, it was still a really good album because it was a very, very nice balance. Like, I feel like Pop Smoke was definitely trying to be one of those types of artists that was diverse. Even though the way his voice was set up, you would think that he would give you one type of rap. He very much was trying to be very diverse with his rap, which I thought was pretty dope because, you know, he has this very, like, deep, strong New York type voice, and you hear him doing, like, love songs on there. You hear him talking about someone, and he makes, like, quite a few love songs and things on there. I had me a couple favorites because, you know, I just felt like they were really cute songs. Like, two of my faves was What You Know About Love and Diana, which was featuring King Combs. I thought those songs were really cute. They were more so like the love songs type vibes. But yeah, they were really cute and things like that. Now, I would have loved to, you know, hear maybe Dave East on one of the songs. I think that would have been really, really dope. DaBaby and Lil Baby, which was a shock for me, they were actually on the album as well. Now, I'm going to also list who was all on the album so you guys can know how many features there was as a whole. But Quavo was very, very surprising. He was actually on 3 songs. And Thank you for listening, everyone. If you enjoyed that podcast, please be sure to tune in every Monday through Friday on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and Anchor for the rest of that podcast.